Hi, Sara Connell.
Hello.
Nice to have you here. We are having the podcast Purpose for Life. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts. I'm the founder of Unifying Solutions, the author of It's Deeper Than That, the designer of Polarity System Design, and the designer of The Great Reconnection. I am so excited to have Sara Connell with us today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sara and just some of her accomplishments because we would be here forever if we were going to go through everything. But she is a 5-time #1 bestseller. She is the founder of Thought Leader Academy, where she helps authors, coaches, and entrepreneurs really, what's the word that you use?
Well, I like saying we empower, right? So because
Right.
we love our right to become best-selling authors, to speak on stages, to make an impact through thought leadership and monetize that mission.
That's what I was looking for because what you do is you help us monetize 6 to 7 figures through really following our passion and our purpose. And that's what I love. And I do want to talk about you just a little bit because as a human being, it is rare to find someone that is a strategic business person that is also has a backbone of moral compass with integrity, that tells the truth, that lives and leads by love and kindness, and also lifts up and champions everyone that you come into contact with. That's my experience of you. And when I think of you, I think about like on AGT, when a small person comes out and then you hear them sing and they have all this power. That's what you're like, because in a tiny physical form, but you have all this power that exudes out of you. So what I'd like to start with you today, Sara, is I'd like you to talk about when you're thinking about monetizing, what that means for anyone in what you talk about, like a trust recession or a trust ascension.
Yeah, it's such an important topic right now because there's a lot of financial fear at the time that we're recording this. And even the word monetize can feel, some people feel almost afraid of receiving abundance, receiving financial abundance, creating financial abundance through work that is a passion and that is a purpose. That's something that I hear,
Mhm.
clients I've worked with over the years. So I want to just bring that into this conversation right away because we can have this idea that if I love it, I should give it away for free, or it's not right to want to also create financial abundance with something that is my calling or my passion. And I actually think it's sort of the flip as I've come to do this work over, these last couple of decades, that I think that what life really wants for all of us is to use our gifts and talents in a way that brings us joy, that transforms others, and to have wild abundance as a result. So when we talk about in Thought Leader Academy, monetizing our mission, that is about it's the strategic things that we can do to offer a coaching program or sell books or have an event or a course or whatever it is someone's passion to create. But there's also a component of being willing to receive, to stand in our worthiness, that what we have to offer is valuable, not that the only value is about finances, of course it's not, but that is an important value. And I support my family, right? So to me, I'm not doing my work on the world just as a hobby. It is a calling, it is a vocation, but it's also a business, right? And so I really like the opportunity for us, and I'm so glad you started here, Suzanne, like healing and fusing that back together, that life wants you, all of you listening, to prosper in your passion.
Absolutely. And you often talk about trust ascension. What does that mean to
Yes.
you?
Yeah. So right now, there have been times in history, even modern, since the 70s, 80s, through now, where the consumer will say, people who are making decisions about investing in things and in themselves have felt a break in trust with institutions, trust with leaders, trust with their own ability to create, trust with marketing and advertising. And right now, research is showing that we are in a trust recession. So I'll set up the ascension, right? The
Right.
recession is that people feel right now like they've been burned. Maybe they've invested in things that really, Suzanne, to your point, that it's sad that we have to say it's rare to find leaders who have a strong moral compass or a true desire to help people. But a lot of people have felt like commodities. They felt like they've been treated like a
Hmm.
transaction. That's a real experience that probably all of us have actually had. We invested in a program, a course, a service, and we felt like a number. We felt like, just I'm here for the sale. And that feels bad, right? And so right now you have a combination of this trust recession where people have had those experiences, and then it kind of clouds, like if you have a bad breakup in a romantic relationship and you start feeling like, ooh, I don't want to date anymore. We have that vibe going on where people are like, oh, I don't want to like necessarily invest in coaching or personal development or, my whatever, my health. And then we have an economic situation where people feel just very uncertain about the future. And that happens in cycles in our economy. We have expansions and recessions and all the things. So when I it's very tempting, and we could go anywhere else and have a conversation with lots of people about all the challenges of this moment while we're recording this, challenges economically, politically, all the things. But what I think is I like getting into what's the solution, right? Like, what are we
Hmm.
solving for? So if we're in a trust recession, then what we're solving for is a trust ascension, or in your beautiful terminology, Suzanne, a trust connection. And so I think it's about leaning in and acknowledging, instead of trying to, why aren't people buying or why is the economy hard? Leaning in with people and being with, and you're so brilliant at this in the work that you do, being with people and saying, yeah, you probably had some bad experiences. And also you're probably scared about the future. So now how do I create trust? And Suzanne, I believe we create trust by being in relationship and
Hmm.
not transactionship. And that's one of the first ways. There are other ways where we need to let people know about our story, to be vulnerable and real, like having what we're doing, like just a real conversation, not a ad. So I
Right.
think
Right.
now, right, like if we were going to pick 3 moves to create a trust ascension for anyone listening, and this is true whether you're in a not-for-profit, an entrepreneur role, a corporate role, this is everywhere right now, right? There's a trust recession everywhere. And so to create an ascension, I think one is to, again, come out from behind any ads, polished, perfect veneers, and really show ourselves to people through
Hmm.
conversations like this, through writing books where people can see it's not just a quick Facebook post. It's like there's depth. Your book is called Deeper Than That.
Hmm.
And having a trust ascension means we have to go deeper than that everyone was doing before, right? So your work is at the forefront of this. So I think one is being real and showing up. The second thing is being visible in a bigger way than we have. And that's scary right now because the what feels safe is to go hide, right?
Hmm.
Honestly, it's easier. Let's just go hide in the bunker,
Right.
right? But that is the worst thing we could do right now. And so we've got to show up, we've got to show up real, and then let people know that we are in an actual relationship. We care. And how we accomplish that is by being generous, by sharing resources and ideas with people, even if they're not paying you yet. Even if they're not whatever. It's not, again, transactional anymore. And this is exciting because for those of you who are, if you're listening and you're here in Suzanne's community, you're the real deal. You do care. You are here to help people. And there's a lot of experts in the world that are not going to want to do this work because they are transactional. Those of us that do care, it's about making sure people can feel it and experience that through our generosity, through our presence, and through showing up and sharing of ourselves in these thought leader ways like podcasts and speaking and books, so that people know it's not just, again, a quick surface level thing on Facebook.
No, I really appreciate you saying that. And I'd like to take this sense of relationship into sales because I have never experienced you trying to sell something to me. So I'd
Mm,
like to understand, what is your approach to sales, and how would you like to communicate to us a different way, through relationality, through trust, through the whole notion of connection? What would you
mm.
say about that?
Well, I love hearing that, right? Because obviously we've done things together, Suzanne, and you have
Right.
invested in things. And so I think part of for me, it always starts with passion. We do an exercise in our Oracle Mastermind that, obviously then about called passioning. We've done it at different points over the last few years, which really means that we are coming from passion. There's such a different energy when someone is genuinely excited and inspired about something they're giving to the world versus someone selling a product, right? Those are sort of two different come froms. It's like I need to go
Yes.
sell something is different than, oh wow, like this is I'm obsessed, I'm into this, I'm doing something about it. Do you want to come learn this with me
Yeah.
or from me? Like that is a very different. So first I start with real passion, and I never offer anything that I don't genuinely feel a passion for, and also that I think could be valuable to someone that could really make a difference in a positive.
Hmm.
And again, that's a difference because some people are just they're selling stuff. It's nothing, we're not judging it. It's just not the same energy and it won't work in
No.
a trust recession. And then the other thing is to the generosity piece that we talked about, let's make that practical in terms of sales. So for any of you listening that actually have a product, a program, a service, instead of jumping right to, do you want to buy my thing? Right? That's what so many people in the world, it's like, you want to buy my thing or it's this much money or, that's all fine. There's nothing wrong with any of this. But the way I love to be is to find out first and foremost what someone's dream is. Like, what is their dream? What is their goal or what's their challenge? And then how could I help them solve that in a way where I ask nothing in return first? Meaning, I'm not saying, oh, you know, uh, Suzanne, you have a book idea. Why don't you pay me a bunch of money and then we can
Right.
talk about if I it's like, hey, why don't you come train with me for a week for free? Just come and enjoy, see if there's something here for you, see if you get a little nugget and I'd love to serve you in making sure that even if we never work together, you leave more clear, more inspired, more empowered around how you could take your book idea, just for this theoretical example, forward. And then at that point, I feel like when we've been generous with people and they know it's not just about a sale and there's passion there and there's real generosity, then when we let people know how we could work further together, that's really not selling in the same way that we think about it. It's an invitation, right? And so I think invitation is also a different vibrational energy than sales, right? So those are some of the things I like to think, like genuinely being curious about someone's dream, genuinely wanting and seeing it for them, whether they work with you or not. And something
Hmm.
I used to do when I did sales calls or Zooms, all on my own in our business, is that every time before I entered a sales call, I would take at least 5 minutes and I would center myself in the person, even if I didn't know them yet, I really knew nothing about them. And I would just say, please let me make the biggest possible difference for this person today.
Mm.
And that was my entire intention. Yes. Did I have a desire that if it's a good fit, we would get to work together and help them with their book and their speaking and monetizing? Of course. Absolutely. But that would be a result. The goal was to make the biggest possible difference. And it freed me from attachment, from
Yes.
grasping, from neediness, from trying to control. It kept my energy clean from any kind of not like manipulation's too strong, but like just truly staying in the place. What's in the best interest of this human, not what do I want,
Right. It's not a pressure.
right? And then
Yes.
made sense to say to someone, hey, would you like to hear how we help people do what you've been talking about? And someone typically would say, yes, I would. And then they would decide, oh yeah, that doesn't sound like what I'm looking for, or oh my gosh, this is absolutely what I'm looking for. Then it doesn't feel like a sale, right? Because we're helping someone come to their own conclusion.
Yes. One of the things I appreciate when you've made offers to me in different kinds of ways, you will say, check and see if this feels right to you. I never feel like I have to say yes or feel pressured and I get to decide, like I get to come to it myself, which I really, really appreciate. And that's a very different approach because it's about the relationship and wanting the relationship to stay intact, whether that person joins you because they might join you later or they may never join you, but they've still benefited from that interaction. And I think it's interaction versus transaction. And what's your desired outcome from the beginning, right? So your desired outcome is to help empower no matter what happens.
Yes. And isn't
Y-
that wonderful? Really wow
Yes.
of people. And if anyone wants a very since you brought, sales, Suzanne,
Yeah.
forward, and I used to be scared of that word. I used to felt repelled. I was like, "Ooh,
Mm,
sales," because I'm creative, I'm a writer,
mhm.
I'm spiritual. Like that word felt like somehow it was again, there was an association to something, like you said, Suzanne, pressure or hard, that hard sell. And something that is a really cool technique, if anyone feels afraid, like I used to, about even the word sales or selling or making these invitations, something really cool is if you're listening to someone and they've shared their dream, their challenge, whatever it is that made them interested in talking to you about what you do, then this is a really cool bridge. It's a really and it is based in neuroscience, but the idea is you would say, "Okay, great. So what I've heard from you is you would love to write a book this year. You would like to speak on stages and make an impact, with audiences. You would like to increase your income to an additional $100,000 a year." That's so exciting, and we've talked about what's gotten in the way, and so what I see working in that situation, what you're going to need is so you're not talking about your offer yet. You're just repeating back to them what they've said they want, and then saying, typically what you would need or I would need, what anyone would need with this type of goal is you're going to want an editor because you want to make sure the book is really good. You're going to want to have someone who has a process to position you as a speaker. So you're giving them the recipe for success. You're giving them like the what they're going to need, and you're not saying buy my thing of it. And that's back to Suzanne relationship and how does this feel to you? And then when you've gone through that and someone says, does that sound right? And they say, yes, that's what I need. Great. Do you want to hear how, we do that
Right.
particular thing? Or do you, I can make other recommendations. So the whole time it is back to what we said before of the person is choosing instead of being sold to. They're being empowered and given options, but it's also a bridge because sometimes people feel scared to transition from serving to making the sales invitation. And so a bridge, it can be
Mm,
just, here's what you would need. Someone in your position, here's what I needed, or you could need is you need to do polarity, you need to do a modality that's going to help connect you to your soul. You're going to need something to recharge your battery, Suzanne, in your world. You're going to want to have a methodology to align with who you really are instead of getting all caught up in the externals, if that's what they've been talking about. And then you say, would you like to hear how I do that reconnection and how we help you recharge the battery and how, and then someone might say, well, yes, please. This is great. So I don't know, that really helps me too, is you're almost like a doctor making a recommendation instead of again selling your thing. And then at that point, when you say, would you like to hear how we do those things? Yes. Usually the person is very excited to hear about that because they've already decided they want this. They see so that's just a move that really helps me.
I have a different direction to go in.
Let's
I'm going to
do
call it the magic of monetization.
Mhm.
How? Because the Millionaire Codes just came out and you're moving towards your next book download. You do a lot of different techniques around monetization that aren't necessarily, yes, they might have tactical moves, but they also have other moves. And can you talk about what I'm calling the magic of monetization?
I love alliteration, Suzanne. You have my heart. So it is the magic of monetization. And isn't it fun if we can put those words together? Because instead of again it feeling like, oh, money, it's like it's magic. And it is magic. So most of you listening probably know this. And if you're reading Suzanne's book and here listening to this podcast, it has been proven over and over through quantum physics and other research that everything's energy, right? We're everything is connected. There's frequency and vibration. And so instead of just teaching strategies for sales, even like what we just talked about, really the most important thing around monetizing and bringing in financial abundance is our frequency. Where are we vibrating? What is the energy we're feeling around money? Money is energy. I mean, we just made up paper bills or
Mhm.
cards or I mean, these are just constructs that we've all made up, right? So money is energy. And if that's true, what kind of energy am I in? In my relationship with money, what kind of money vibration am I in? And a lot of times for most of my life, I was in a very lack energy around money. I grew up without financial abundance. I grew up in a money negative household, which was partly just feeling scarcity and lack around money, but also the fact that if you want money, it's bad. In a very like sort of religious, sort of environment where you shouldn't care about anything material. That's sinful, and so when you think about what that turns into in terms of magical monetization or money monetization, it's not very magical. It's pretty loaded with a very negative, limiting thing. So there was a lot of work that I got to do, around rewiring. And so then when money becomes magical, the reason I feel like it's magic is that when we clear subconscious energy resistance around abundance, then the money starts just coming in. And Suzanne, I know you've probably experienced this, right?
Mhm.
It's like when we clear those, whatever where they came from, our family, society, ancestral, past lot, whatever we think, there doesn't matter where they came from. When we clear those in the subconscious mind, then we're magnetic. We can add that magnetic magic
Magic,
manifestation, right?
monetizing.
Right?
Yeah, that's
MMM,
awesome.
right? And
Yeah.
become magnetic to money. Money. So how do we do that? We use different modalities, emotional freedom technique, tapping with Suzanne. I've talked about you like some of it, don't like other kinds. There's neurolinguistic programming, there's
Mhm.
hypnosis, there's all kinds of, but what never worked for years, I did the stuff that I thought would work, like made affirmations, made vision boards, read abundance books, and those things are all good. I highly recommend all of it. But when I paired it, what made it magic was working on the subconscious level, the energy level, because that's where the blocks, like we're on the surface going, I love abundance, money magic. And then underneath, there's parts of us like, nope, not safe,
Mhm.
don't deserve, not worthy, bad. And so then we get this chaotic vibration going on. And so what makes it magical is, we could do some here, Suzanne, however you want it, wherever you want to go with this, but you know, getting into the getting our energy aligned with that money is magic. That money loves me. And if anyone wants to
Mhm.
try this, maybe Suzanne, could we try something?
Sure, let's
One
do
minute.
it.
Okay, let's try something. So let's imagine that money, and Suzanne, if you'll be our spokesperson here,
Sure.
let whatever happens. So let's imagine money is going to walk in the room, and I'm going to close my eyes because it's just easier for
Okay.
me to do energetic work with the eyes closed. So let's imagine we've invited money to talk to us. And so let money take a form, and just describe to us if money and that you're in relationship with, like it could be a character, a color, like just tell us what you see.
I see balloons. Right.
Oh, I love it. Are they multicolor?
Yes, they're
Okay.
multicolor.
So you've got this, but and are lots of them, a few of them?
There are a lot of them actually.
Cool. So big balloon bouquet, big
Yeah.
bundle of balloons. Okay, beautiful. So imagine this money balloons is able to sort of sit or stand, in front of you. And does this beautiful bunch of balloon, does it feel friendly or a little bit, dangerous in any way?
Friendly,
Friendly.
joyful.
Beautiful. And so now what we want to ask is, what would money love from you, Suzanne? Like when it thinks about your relationship with money, what would it love from you?
To accept more of it graciously, really.
So let's breathe. And everybody listening, if you can do this with us, we're going to breathe into our bellies. And money is saying, Suzanne, I have this big bunch of balloons. I'd love you to bring in more, let in more of me. Yes. And what does money want to do for you, Suzanne?
Elevate both my offer to the world and my joy of living.
Mm, beautiful. And what would money need, if anything, doesn't have to be, what would money need you to change, either in your actions, your beliefs, your mindset, in order for you to let it bring you more, and to and to be able to let you enjoy your life more, and empower your offers, what you have to offer the world? What would it need, if anything, for you to change?
I think I have the thing that you said in the beginning, like, you know, it's service work and it's just be generous instead of
Yeah.
enjoying my life more while I'm still serving and being generous. I think it's that, uh, inner conflict, I guess.
Yes, yes. So, is money available to clear that for you? Is it available to clear that through this conversation? Just ask if money is available to just clear that disconnect that was saying it's an either or. You can be of service or you can have lots of money. Is money available to bring those two things together so that you're enjoying your life and living abundantly while you serve?
Right now, it feels like it is.
Great, great. So just keep breathing. You're doing amazing. And everyone listening along with us, just you're going to have your version of this. And then Suzanne, is there anything else money wants you to know? Anything else, just money's like, if it has a PS little message for you?
I just get this sense of fullness. I
Yeah.
don't have language. It's just sort of
Good.
this expansion. Like
Yes.
it's sort of like you haven't seen what's possible yet.
Ooh. So now, if it feels safe, and only if it does,
Yeah.
feel yourself stepping into money. So you're going to actually just merge with this expansive, beautiful idea of what's possible and all the abundance money wants to bring you to enjoy your life and serve others. And just feel yourself just being rewired, recalibrated to a higher level of receiving and sharing of your abundance.
It
I
does
just
feel like there's a rewiring happening inside or like a recalibration.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that makes total sense, right? Because wherever we were before is money wants you to have more. So it's going to rewire. So let's let that just happen. Let's let
Okay.
this take place and just let it in. I found myself reaching and stretching out my arms, kind of like physically going into like a bigger posture so we can come back. That's going to keep working in the background. That's
Okay.
like a program, you're updating your
Awesome.
Okay, so first, Lisa, how did that felt surprising? Was it what you expected?
It was surprising.
Yeah,
I had no idea what we were walking into, and
right.
the balloons surprised me.
Right.
I've done something like this before, so I wasn't surprised by the conflict, but it doesn't feel as intense as it used to be. It's softened because I've done something like this before. And the expansion felt much more, I felt my system's ready for it in a different way. So that
Right?
was I just feel like, okay, here we are.
And
Here we
you
are.
expanded. I mean, that
Yeah.
actually happened in real time. Like you now, it's almost like your channel. What I would have showed up for me was like your channel, like, was, let's say, just I'm using this to just show
Yeah.
something. It was here, and now it's like this. It's
That's
just
what,
like, and you don't have to do anything, right? It was money was just saying, let me in. When I did this kind of thing the first time. And this is a sort of cousin to neurolinguistic programming. It's like another, technique where we're using the brain science. But money said to me, Sarah, will you please just have more fun with me? We just and so when I asked what would I need to do differently, money said, I would like you to not take me so seriously, meaning like I'm here to have fun. And then it went like this. So it did this like shimmy
shimmy.
and
That's great.
it wanted me to like and I would giggle like every time I would do that. So anytime I got kind of serious or contracted, like having a financial conversation or looking at numbers or setting goals, I would just remember money just being like giving me this funny thing to say, "Lighten up, like, I'm not so serious, hard to come by, scary, whatever." So that's beautiful, Suzanne, so thank you for modeling and
Thank
taking
you.
us through because we all got an expansion out of that.
Well, Sarah, what I find interesting is when something like this happens, I don't really have to think about it. I will take action. I'm an action oriented person, but things start revealing and showing themselves without working hard at it. That's what I love about this work. It's happened so many times on so many different levels. So thank you. And
That's the magic. I was just
yeah,
thinking, like, the magic is that you don't have to go out later and go, "Oh, balloons, visualize." You're rewired.
yep,
You open the channel, just more's gonna come in. I won't be surprised if you message me by Monday and just think you won't believe this, and I'll laugh and I'll be in awe, but I will believe it.
absolutely, for sure. And that's part of what the Millionaire Codes book is about, right? Can we segue into your new book? Because I have not heard you talk about it yet. What is the download book?
Oh my gosh, so I'm allowed to talk about it now, as you know, because
Okay.
deal is signed and the press release went out on Tuesday. So it's out. It's in the world. And it doesn't come out until, in 2026. So we have some time. And so this is not a book I ever imagined writing. And you will appreciate, Suzanne, because you are deep and you know how to go deep and be in co-creation and receive. I made a deal a long time ago that I bet you've made a version of. We've never officially talked about this, but essentially I don't do anything unless my soul says to do it. Like if
Right.
it's not,
Right
if,
there.
if it's not coming from source and soul, it's not happening in my
Mm.
world. I made that agreement a long time. It's like in Les Mis, Jean Valjean, if anyone's seen that musical or read the Victor Hugo book, it's like, I've given my soul to God. There's that moment when he said,
Yeah.
so my version of that is I said to the universe, I'm yours. And if it's something you ask of me, I'm doing it. And basically, and nothing else is going to happen. So and it's a beautiful, magical way, also sometimes challenging, way to live because it feels uncomfortable sometimes to say yes to things and step into new things. And so, anyway, I did a practice last year where I wrote down every day. I was creating a new neuroscience technique for our clients, and I always anything I teach, I practice myself. And so I was doing this technique where you write down a goal every single day and then you visualize it and feel the feelings of it and run your fingers over it. It's this process
Yes.
that brain science to manifest magic monetization.
Mm.
So one of the things I'd written down every day for it was a 90-day commitment that I made. I wrote down I've downloaded my next big book idea because I knew there was something else that I was going to write, but I didn't know what it was. And I wrote this and I was about day 80 and I went for a walk and I get good downloads on walks and I'll explain what the book is and this leads into the book and what downloads are. And suddenly I had this real desire that the book idea was going to come that day. I was in nature, I was away from
Mm.
work, and I felt so available. And I was like, I'd really love it if I could get it. And the idea said, you've got it. And I thought, I've got it. What do you mean I've got what do I have? And it's like download. And I said, yeah, I know I've written, I want to download. Yes, please. I'm having this like nonsense
That's great.
dialogue walking through the forest saying, I know I'm asking to download the book. And then, the feeling was, yes, that's it. The down and so I had this confusing conversation where I kept hearing like the down. And so I got back and suddenly it just washed through me. And when I think of a download, it could be anything from an intuitive nudge all the way through what I would call a miracle, where something happens that just could never have happened by anything we could imagine in the physical world. And what came to me was that's the book. The book is about downloading. The book is about the process that I've honed over these years of how we can put ourselves into a state to receive those brilliant, amazing, genius
Hmm.
ideas and directions from the universe, from soul, and then how to have the courage to actually do something with them.
Yes.
We can get the idea, but actioning it is a very different thing. And then really it's the science of miracles. And so I just went, this can't. So I messaged a friend and I said, this can't really be the book, right? I mean, I've been writing, I'm going to download my book, and then the book is the download. And she said that just chills went through her body and
Mm.
she got really emotional. And we both, and she said, yeah, no, I think that's absolutely it. And back to what I just said is about this book. The reason there's part two, which is actioning, is because for then a whole month I said, oh, this can't be it.
Oh,
I'm not,
interesting.
I'm not writing a book about me. What that's not what, I'm not some master, what and this is what we do. We get a download, whether again it's a little intuitive nudge, a revelation, an insight, a stroke of insight. Sometimes it's over time. We get a whole bunch of signs like synchronicities. Those are all in what I call the download continuum. And and I'm fascinated by this idea of like, what if we could create a process and and a really a system so that we can consistently have these downloads, like it's not a lot of people I know say once in a while, they'll get a intuitive
Right.
thought or they'll get a revelation. But what if what if we can be doing this in co-creation anytime we have something we're questioning or wanting direction. And that's really the honestly the work. It includes money monetization, right? It includes everything I've done up until now. And so that the book is called The Download, and it is this framework that has been given to me really of how we can get in state using brain science and quantum
Right.
energy. is because it's spiritual and scientific. And then how do we have the courage? So that's where it's almost like that book, The Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Right.
It's how we have the courage to to create that from those downloads. And then the third part of the book is the wow. That's the miraculous, like truly wiring our brain for the miraculous. And I say brain, but it's really our being. It's not just our brain, right? It's wiring our being for the miraculous. And I'm very fascinated by this idea of miracles because we're all capable of miracles. We've all experienced miracles. We are
We
living.
are a miracle.
We are miracles. We
We
are.
are a miracle,
We
right?
are. I look at you and what you are doing in your life and what you've done in your life. There is no question. You are the living embodiment of a miracle. And so, my hope for this book.
Oh, Sarah, I got tears in my eyes. First of all, I know it takes a lot of courage to step into a book like that. It's a step, and you're being asked to, and I appreciate you following through with courage and stepping forward because it is necessary for our time. And it is actually what polarity is, honestly. It's that
It,
the soul reigns supreme and the mind becomes receptive and guided by the soul power. And then are we willing? And Dr. Stone used to say it's the infinite made practical.
there it
Think,
is.
isn't that it? Isn't that it?
And the cerebral spinal fluid, like you mentioned
Yes.
earlier, that is the conductor for miracles. It's the conductor of the downloads.
Uh,
It's
oh,
your work is absolutely living proof
yep.
of this topic. And so that's, I mean, I'm wildly excited about it. I'm beyond humbled and honored that I, get to do this as a book. And it's so exciting because my hope is that anyone, when the way that I'm creating this particular book, which is different than others that I've done, is that this will be a transmission. Like something will happen when someone reads this book that is not just about reading the book, that there's, or even taking the actions, that there's actually a transmission, a
Right.
transmutation connection, like if someone comes for polarity, like that this actually happens through the book is a portal to that, right? And so
Yes.
and so it's unsettled me. It's unsettled me starting to write
Hmm.
this book. It has felt like the tectonic plates underneath me have been like moving a little bit. And it's exciting and it's also unnerving because the human part of us is always like, the soul is like, woo! In my experience, my soul's always like, let's go. And then the human self is like, exactly are we signing on for? What is this? Where are you going to be at the other side? So your work, oh my, I just got that while we were sitting here, that I mean, polarity is,
What you're
it,
saying
it is exactly this.
in a different format, but it's the same thing because the cerebral spinal fluid is where your soul is pulsing. That is where the downloads have to come because the
Yeah,
information is in there,
there
right?
it is.
It is. I want to say to everyone listening, I'm going to put a plug in for Sara Connell here. I met Sara 6 years ago and I was in Columbus. She was in Chicago. I decided to go with a local coach for my book, which I started 6 years ago and just did nothing with it. I knew I needed Sara again and worked to find her. And I found that she was doing this free, which she does, I think 4 times a year, right, Sara?
Yeah,
Free writing boot camp. And I'm like, I'm going to that writing boot camp. That was in November.
yeah,
I was mad at Sara though that when she said like to write a book you have to be a triple threat and I'm thinking triple threat I got to write a book and here I am 6 months later with a podcast as part of the triple threat but back then I was like I don't know what you're talking about Sara but anyway you are magnetic and generous and like a life force that ignited me to move. Honestly, I just wouldn't be here without you. So I want to say to every author, every coach, every entrepreneur, if you want to move forward in your life in ways that are unexpected, check Sara out. Find something. She does a lot of free things. Also, she will talk to you anytime just to get to know you, like she said, without pressure to sell. But if you want to move forward in your life, you feel like you're on the verge, Sara Connell is the real deal. Seriously, I'm living proof. So
and
I
Suzanne, what you've done in a matter of months, like nobody gets to have an excuse listening, meaning, it's like wrote the book after 6 years than in 90 days, right? Started a podcast, blowing up your YouTube channel, having a documentary. I mean, if you all are listening and don't know all the things Suzanne is doing, it will blow your mind. So wait, like, thank you for actioning, right? This is you're actioning your downloads.
But listening. And I feel fortunate because you get downloads, you've guided me along the way and pointed. I mean, I think you're listening to my soul and your soul at the same time. What's the best interest rather than Sara Connell thinks that? I never think that. I feel like you're listening to serve me in a way. So if you get a download, it's in the best service of me. And so I feel like I have been pointed in directions that have been so life-giving and given fortitude. And I want to thank you for that. I do want to ask you a question as we wind down for today. What do you think the purpose for life is?
Mhm. I do think the purpose for life is to bring forth the unique, beautiful message, mission, calling that we each have. I have been seeing compasses everywhere. North Star, you
Mm,
talked about the moral compass. It's just fascinating. It's like that is coming up. And I do think it's for us to find our North Star, to sort of navigate our compass to the soul, like you're talking about, and then to do that thing we came here to do. And I believe we all know that on some level, that we came here to contribute something. And in that contribution, we will find bliss and fulfillment
yes.
and abundance, and the world will be better. And I feel like that's the win-win-win that is so gorgeous, that the soul and source and the ether is all about. So that for me is that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Any last comments you want to make for us?
Just I am so grateful to be here with everyone, and I'm excited. I would love to hear if anyone, please, like Suzanne said, DM me. Go on Instagram at Sara Connell, or come to YouTube at Thought Leader Media. I mean, just send me if I know Suzanne does too. Like, tell what is your dream, right? Where's the, if you need more magic in your monetization, like, we want to hear about it, right? And if you try that exercise with money, I get a real kick of hearing what money's message is to everyone. So just truly, please do reach out. That is, I care about, there's no accident if anyone's listening to this, that there's probably something you're here to create next, and we want to hear about it.
Thank you, Sarah. I so appreciate you being here. And we are winding down today with the purpose for life, and we are excited to have you join us as we move forward. Lots more to come.